What is going on, Birdland? Stephen Heckman here for the Baltimore Battery, coming to you with the most recent episode of the Final Strike podcast, brought to you by the Baltimore Battery. Uh, Breaking news came out today that the Orioles relieved manager Brandon Hyde of his duties effective immediately, as well as Major League Field Coordinator and infield instructor Tim Cossins has been relieved of his duties as well. Interestingly enough, somebody had to take the fall for what was going on, and usually it's always the manager or the coach. It's just the name of the business. It's how it operates. It's how it works. Doesn't mean the person's a bad person. Doesn't mean that, they were out to sabotage the guy. I mean, he's been here for 6, 7 seasons now. He's guided us through very tumultuous times during the rebuild and brought us back into respectability between 2022 and 2024. Which is one of the reasons expectations were as high as they were heading into this season. So you can imagine the disappointment when the season got off to the position that it got to and where we're at today. And currently, we're losing 7-0 to the Nationals as well. So even after getting rid of manager Brandon Hyde, creating a new spark was not something that was happening today. Replacing Brandon Hyde will be third base coach Tony Manzolini. Manzolini, if many of you will remember, is a very aggressive third base coach. Sometimes his decisions are a little questionable when it comes to how he handles base running skills or base running forward progress, I guess is the best way to say. But overall, I think he's the right person for the job because he does have that aggressiveness and that aggressive attitude. And that might be something that we need right now. You're going to see Buck Britton is actually going to become the new third base coach, and he's going to be the infield instructor now, which is the other position that Tim Cossins had created, or Tim Cossins was dealing with as well. So at this time, Brandon Hyde leaves the Baltimore Orioles at 15-28, 13 games below 500. It looks like they are going to lose another one unless they have a miraculous comeback today, which they've yet to come back from a score of 4 runs or more down this entire season. So it's not looking too bright today. But Brandon Hyde does leave the Baltimore Orioles. Like I said, 15-28 on the season, 13 games under 500. We're 10.5 games back in the AL East behind the Yankees. We rank near the bottom of every major statistical category when it comes to offense and pitching. And what's sad is right now our starting pitching is actually, well, with the exception of today, I must say, but has been pitching pretty decently lately, and our bullpen is falling apart. So I don't know. Hopefully there is a spark that comes here because we're in the midst of a 16-game schedule without any off days. So Brandon Hyde ends his tenure as the Baltimore Orioles coach with a record of 421 and 492. Which honestly was better than I thought because, you had 3 seasons with 108 plus losses. There's at least 324 losses right there. So that's pretty decent record. He also guided the Orioles to the best record in the majors since 2022. So you got to give some credit to the guy. I mean, he's the reason Cedric Mullins turned around. He's the reason Austin Hayes was able to stay on the field a little bit longer. He knew how to properly deploy Anthony Santander. You've got to give the guy some credit for what he has done. And, he's led us to back-to-back postseason appearances for the first time since 1982-83. Made the postseason for the first time since 2016, won 101 games in the AL East, which was the first time we won the AL East since 2012. And the first time we won 100 games, I want to say since back in the 70s maybe, or 80s. I could be wrong on that one. I'm not 100% right on that, but I know it had been some time because the 101 wins was one of the top records of all time for our team. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward because the Baltimore Orioles right now are in trouble. And I don't know any other way to put it. They're in trouble. I mean, right now it doesn't look like they are going to be even postseason considerations. But, you have the Philadelphia Phillies who got rid of Joe Girardi after 34 games and managed to make a World Series run or a NLCS day run. So, it's pretty interesting to see how this is actually going about and what's going to happen next. Now, just to give everybody a little bit of comfort on what is going on, let me check something out here, because if I remember correctly, record of a season. There we go. A lot of teams during a rebuild don't keep the manager they start the rebuild with. Buck Showalter is one of those people who has experienced that way too often. So, we were actually shocked to see Brandon Hyde come as far as he's come, which is pretty good. So, looking back, I want to go into the Houston Astros. And the reason I want to bring up the Houston Astros is because the Houston Astros, where Mike Elias learned, Mike Elias helped, and also have been the darlings of the AL pretty much since 2015. In 2015, they won 86 games. And that's when they initially started their turnaround. They won 84 games. Then they won 101, 103, and 107, and 95 and 96. So they did have 3 good seasons of a rebuild. Now, our rebuild kind of advanced earlier than expected. And that's something to keep in fact, because when you go back and look at the Houston Astros before their rebuild, their first season going into their full rebuild, they went from 51 victories to 70 victories. It's 29 victories. We increased ours by 30. They followed that season by increasing by 16. Okay, we actually dropped down 9 victories that year. Then they dropped down to 84 victories. So they lost 2 victories. And if I remember correctly, they didn't even make the playoffs that season. And that's when they went on their run. So it was their first 3 seasons. They showed up. They overachieved. They regressed a little bit, and then they blew up. So what can we learn from that? Well, our rebuild officially arrived in 2022 when we were in the postseason hunt until the end of the season. Following year, we completely took the league by storm, winning 101 games. Last year, we were still in the AL East hunt until the final 2 weeks of the season and still made the postseason. And now this year, we're having our struggles. Okay? Same thing. I know the records don't line up, so just stick with me here and listen to what I got to say. 86 wins, 84, or 70 wins, 86 wins, 84 wins. Okay, so increase, decrease. We kind of went increase, way increase, little decrease. All right, so you would expect this year to kind of be a decrease before we take that next big step. Now, is that what's going to happen here? I don't know. I'm just trying to give everybody a little bit of food for thought that similar things happened during the rebuild of the Houston Astros. Now, it didn't happen identical because right now we look just completely out of it. Like, I couldn't even tell you where to begin to fix the problems. And it's funny, I saw Ryan Ripken with a segment today on Facebook, and he said the same thing. The Orioles have a lot of problems. It's not just one specific area. And, Brandon Hyde, unfortunately, is the one who's going to take the fall for that. I see a lot of people on social media are saying that Mike Elias should be fired. Mike Elias provided the team that we have. And if you remember correctly, in 2023, we won 101 games without a frontline starter. I mean, Kyle Bradish ended up being our frontline starter by the end of the season, but unfortunately, he's hurt now. He's probably not expected back till July at the earliest. Now, from what I understand, there's been no setbacks in his rehab. Same with Tyler Wells. Grayson Rodriguez, he's due to actually have a MRI within the next week. And based off what comes back from that and the testing, he should begin his throwing program again, and we should have him back by May. Now, my thought process here, if things continue going the way we're going, I would not be opposed to actually having Grayson Rodriguez, have an inning buildup and see what happens. And then from there, if need be, go have his surgery. We already had Justin Armbruster in the minors with lat problems. He just had surgery on his lat. He's done for the season. If we're not going to be in postseason contention, it doesn't make sense for me to bring a pitcher who's had some injury problems over the past couple of years, come out and risk injury again if there is a procedure that might help avoid this in the future. And this is my thinking. This doesn't mean this is what they're going to do. This is an opinion of mine, and I hope people understand. I'm not saying this is what should happen or has to happen. I'm just throwing food for thought out there. I also say if things continue going the way we're going at the trade deadline, I would not be surprised to see Ryan O'Hearn and Ryan Mountcastle available. I would not be surprised to see Cedric Mullins available. Brian Baker, Keegan Aiken. I would not be surprised to see any of them available. I honestly like Maverick Hanley, what he's been doing since he's been up here. Great framer, good defense. Pitchers seem to be pitching well to him. His offense is not quite right, but it'll get there. But he knows how to bunt. That's something our team doesn't know how to do. And he plays with an energy. I think he's good for our team. And right now, until Samuel Basallo is ready to come up, I wouldn't mind keeping him and getting rid of Gary Sanchez. When Gary Sanchez comes back, I don't know. Right now, he's having a wrist brace he's wearing, and he's got to have more testing. That's probably not going to come until June. So before he even begins baseball activities. Those are the players I foresee getting rid of. A lot of people have said that, they could see us trading Tomoyuki Sagano and Zach Eflin. Personally, I would keep both of them. Sagano has honestly earned himself another year on our team, if not two. I honestly can see giving him a 2-year contract with an option for a 3rd year. Zach Eflin, same thing. I could give him a 2-3 year contract with possibly an option year. It'll probably be his last contract anyway. I then would probably buckle down and start focusing on who we're going to keep and start getting extensions handed out. Gunnar Henderson, we've got to lock him up. We can't wait till he hits free agency. We got to lock him up. And if they won't sign, then I'm sorry, we're going to have to go a different route. And I hate to say that because I love Gunnar Henderson. Adley Rutschman, if things continue and persist the way they're going, we might have to move on from Adley. And I don't want to do that. You look at the graphing and everything, he's basically just unlucky. The metric graphing, his expected batting average it's leaps and bounds above what his actual average is. And I'm not a fan of metrics. Anybody who knows me knows I've never been a big fan of them, but I do look at them. And I do pay attention to them because they do actually lend credence to certain things. If Adley can't turn it around, I'm not sure we can keep somebody who's going to be a 200 hitter on the offense. I mean, we already have Jorge Mateo. And honestly, it's a struggle allowing him to even get in the offense. He does have his moments, but you can't give a guaranteed out. It's just not something that can be conducive. You can't give a guaranteed out. Sammy Basallo is actually caught for the first time the other day this season. He's been mashing the ball. So he's getting close to being ready. And if I were Adley Rutschman, I'd be looking over my shoulder right now because I'll tell you what, he's 6 years younger than Adley and already performing the way he's performing. Adley might be finding a job elsewhere. I really would hope that we don't do that just because we actually put the rebuild on the shoulders of Adley Rutschman. So Adley Rutschman is kind of like that quiet leader, that behind-the-scenes leader, and Gunnar Henderson is the superstar. You always have that. It's like Cal Ripken and Eddie Murray. And after that, it was Cal Rip getting Chris Hoyles, Cal Rip getting Mike Mussina. You have those tandems where one is the superstar and one is the basically team leader. But that's not what's been going on. We look lost on the field. Like there's nobody stepping up to be that leader on the field. And I've said this quite frequently. If you've listened to the previous episodes this season, this is something I've been on for a couple weeks. Last week, I said it might be time to move on from Brandon Hyde. So I'm not saying this without actually looking into things and thinking about the next step. I'm saying this because this is what I see. And based off watching the games, based off being at the games, it's just things I see. Our guys are going up there and trying to win the game with one swing instead of manufacturing runs. If you're an offense that's struggling to score, start manufacturing runs. Learn how to bunt. Learn how to sacrifice. Learn how to play a hit and run. Right now, our team's not doing any of that. Interesting stat that came up the other day. In games we have more than one hit with runners in scoring position, we're 13-4 or 12-4. In games that we have less than two hits, we're 3-24. That's an alarming stat. And this is something I've talked about. If you've been with me over the 3 years that we've been doing this, I've talked about the Orioles' ability to create with runners in scoring position, for the Orioles to actually take advantage and capitalize. Even last year, they were still middle of the pack with runners in scoring position, but they were scoring runs. And a lot of that was you had players getting on first base and hitting home runs, or you had multiple home runs hitting the game. Or we'd get that one big hit with runners on first and second. So this year, it's just not happening. You watch games the other day and we held a game lead until the 8th inning. And then we come up in the 9th, we get a runner to second base and we can't do anything. There's a game the other day, we had runners on second and third with no outs and we didn't score a run. And it's happened too frequently this season. And what's funny is up until 3 weeks ago when Sagano started pitching 7-inning games and Kramer followed that up with a couple 7-inning games, the pitching was the talk. The starting pitching was the problem. But people are starting to see it wasn't just the starting pitching. The starting pitching is finally getting somewhere. Zach Eflin, did pretty decent in his first return. Kramer's been pitching, with the exception of the other day, has pitched pretty decent in his last few starts, and Sagano's been Sagano. I mean, the guy easily could have 3 more wins on his resume, but doesn't. But now our bullpen seems to be falling apart, which is weird. And I don't know if that's a combination of certain players being used too much and other players not being used enough. I mean, when you get Felix Bautista and Yennier Cano going 3 and 4 days without pitching, and then you put them in and they blow a game, you kind of understand why they're not getting those reps in game situations until they need them days later. Whereas other pitchers are pitching nearly every other day or every day, and then we get into a tight game and we don't have them. What's worse is the Twins doubleheader the other day. We chased their starters. We forced them to pitch almost nearly 200 pitches in each game and could not capitalize in either single game, either one of the games. During the 6-game series with the Twins this year, which we were swept, we forced them to make 24 pitching changes. That's 4 pitching changes a game, which is basically what you really expect. You want to be able to have your starter go 6 innings, maybe 7. Have a bridge guy to get to your setup guy to get to your closer. And what's bad is you watch these Orioles at-bats is a lot of these at-bats I'm paying attention to, they are being aggressive to an extent, but there are times they're being overly aggressive. Like I see runners on first and second base, and the guy comes up and swings at the first pitch and pops it up. Or the guy swings at every pitch that the pitcher throws and strikes out on 3 or 4 pitches. They're missed opportunities. If you're going to come up hacking like that, bunt the ball, move the runners over to second and third, and give us a chance at least to get 1 run home on a sac fly. The next question is, now where do we go from here? Manzolini is only going to be the interim manager. I do not see him being the long-term manager. Where do we go from here? Joe Maddon? Would Joe Maddon be willing to come back to baseball to coach a team like the Orioles? He's dealt with young talent before, and he's helped shape them and guide them. He took the Cubs to a World Series, so he knows what he's doing. Could you see Buck Showalter back in Oriole black and orange? No, Bud Black's out there now. I mean, where do you go? What do you do? And my friend Ivan was right. We need a manager who has experience, winning and championship pedigree experience. What about Jorge Posada? Joe Girardi? I mean, there are managers out there that could have possibly fit. But we need somebody who's not going to be a pushover. And I'm not saying Brandon Hyde was. But you need a guy who's out there to win games. He's going to bring the best out of your team each and every time, even when you lose. Your team's going to keep fighting. And that's what the Orioles did from 2022 to 2024. They were never out of a game until the final out. This year, once they get behind, the game's over. You don't have to worry about the Orioles coming back because they haven't. So my question, where would you like to see the Orioles go from here? Are you willing to sacrifice this season to get a manager that would guide us to the postseason next year and possibly a World Series contention? Or do you want to see things turn around immediately? This season has been difficult to watch. At least we knew starting in 2018 what we were getting. We knew what was happening. We were told up front. This is like a smack in the face. This is like we were teased for years with bait, and now we got the hook, or we got the bait and we find out it was just a hook to bring us in and land us. It's interesting, David Rubenstein actually made a statement about the release of Brandon Hyde today. Mike Elias also made a statement. So, like I said last week and the week before, where's David Rubenstein been? No, now he appears. So we're going to see what happens next. So let me know in the comments what you all would like to see. What manager do you think would be suited for the Orioles going forward? Where do you see the Orioles going from here? What players do you think would be traded at the trade deadline if we continue down the path we have been? We'll discuss all that next week. Hopefully I get some comments from you all because I am curious to know what Birdland is thinking. So until next time, Birdland, we're going to sign out here and stop. I want you to give a big shout out to the Baltimore Battery. Don't forget to check out the BaltimoreBattery.com, especially the article written today about Brandon Hyde's release. There's many of other articles out there you can read between Zach, RJ, Nick, Justin, myself, and Matt, and Jared. There's plenty out there to read. So we give a big shout out. Don't forget to visit the BaltimoreBattery.com. Let us know what you think. Go check out some of the articles. Find your favorite writer. Make sure you follow us, and you can get email notifications when new articles come out. Also, want to give a big shout out to Scooters for Rent. If you're ever in the Maryland, Delaware, Eastern Shore area and you're looking for mobility equipment, give them a call at 302-280-6203. They provide mobility scooters, handicap wheelchairs, beach wheelchairs, and electric wheelchairs, as well as reclining lift chairs. Make sure you tell them Stephen from the Final Strike sent you. Last but not least, I want to give a big shout out to Dubby Energy Drink, one of my partners. Visit Dubby.gg and you can get yourself a sampler pack, get yourself a shaker. One of the greatest things about these energy drinks is they do not have the sugar crash. They're all natural ingredients. They're sugar-free. And I drink one every day and doesn't affect my blood sugar in the least bit. I don't ever get that jittery crash. Go visit Dubby.gg. Get yourself a sample pack so you can find out what you like. You get one of these beautiful shakers. and go have it. It's great for pregame, great for pre-workout. It's great for gaming. It's great for doing what we're doing right here. So go visit them. Make sure you use code Stephen R. Heckman at checkout. That's STEPHEN R and then HECKMAN. Get 10% off your order. Till next time, Birdland, make sure you keep the beer cold, and we'll catch you on the other side. Peace out.